on the right side. Usually I'm on the left. Okay, this is fine. I'll be over here. Actually, thanks. Everybody, welcome to Experience Matters. I'm your host, Crystal Weiss, and we are here for our first episode of 2026. And we're getting our lives together. Don't you worry. We've got a wonderful first guest. I have a new camera that I apologize. I'm trying to keep my hands below the screen because it has gesturing. And earlier it moved very close to my face and we don't want that to happen again. But today we are joined by our very first guest of 2026, Stacy Sherman. And we're so excited she's here. Stacy, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you love about CX.
Yeah, so I am in the United States, in New Jersey at this moment, and I love everything about CX. CX people are the nicest people you'll ever meet. It's more than any other industry or I guess field is what I should say, having spent time in corporate for 25 years and have had a lot of different roles. But CX is just attracts the best people. That's the best. It's just true.
I love that. As I'm based in Austin, Texas, and we're supposedly going to get snow today, but it's, as someone who grew up in Kansas, I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, and it's on the weekend, so it's not even like we get a snow day. But I also will agree, this was my first year diving into CX, which is why we started this show, because a few people on our CX team, I'm a big research girly at heart from our market research side, and they're like, if you just get into CX, you'll be into it. And so I've been had the privilege of meeting a lot of people this year, hosting different panels and different guests. So I'm really excited you're here because I do want to hear a lot about kind of what you talk about a lot of is the heart behind CX. And so I'm excited to dive into that. But, I do have, just to kind of get to know you a little bit better as we start in, I always have, a couple CX questions. What is your, CX kind of ick? Is there something that people do that you're like, get me out of this CX experience?
Well, I would say every experience that feels truly transactional. It's so clear that people are, I don't like the term checking boxes. That's so ChatGPT now. But I mean that, when you're working with, you're buying from a brand or working inside a brand, people are so rushed that they are doing what they have to and to quickly move on, quickly get the sale, like not even really building the relationship. And so that's a pet peeve and something I believe can be changed very easily that will help businesses grow and keep their profitable customers.
So that kind of leads me into my first set question then is, do you think that means that the experienced customers are sorry, I'm going to say experience twice. The experienced customers are experiencing is different than what the leaders intend? Do you think so how do you kind of think about that gap, and how do you coach leaders through their end experience versus the what they want?
Yeah. Well, so let me take one step back. Many, many, many companies are doing CX. They are investing in the tools, the technology, customer service teams and success teams, and they're doing tons of surveys. But then they'll say to me, "But Stacy, we don't know why we're having so much loss of customers, loss of best talent, loss of revenue, and we don't know why." And the reason is because you're doing CX, but you're not doing CX right. And the gap is really what's costing you so much. And that I help companies stop that loss, that gap. So to your question, That is a very core reason there's a gap, because companies believe that they are doing CX and they're investing in so much, but yet the customers, the end customers, the buyers don't feel. The word is feel. And that is an important factor that companies don't think about. They don't think about the sentiments and feel and emotion behind it. And
That's a wild to me because you would think that's everything that have to do with experience.
well, because companies are very profit driven and transaction driven. And so the core opportunity for companies, again, to your question, is that companies need to be asking their customers so much more. That what we designed as an experience and that journey really meets your needs, not from just the inside, but with real customers.
Mhm. I think so often you can see this happens in marketing a lot too. We have the marketing plan is X, and customers obviously should go along with the plan. When in reality, customers are like going like over here, and you're not actually following their journey. You're trying to kind of pigeonhole them into a predetermined journey that fits your goals.
Yes, and it doesn't work that way.
What? Like people are like autonomous and go forth and do their own thing? Wild.
Yeah.
I think that there is, it's hard when as leaders, right, you have certain metrics you want to hit because you have certain goals in your life or in your career. Um, is there a way that teams can align their growth and their success within companies to also the customer?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is no customer without the talent in the company.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. So, I believe companies have to start early on in the employee journey and, first of all, hire the right people who are truly customer centric,
Mm,
because that's a first point of mistakes that I've seen, I've witnessed, and even as a hiring manager for many, many years, I've learned that even people coming in for interviews, they are just using the buzzwords, but not really understanding what it means to be doing CX right.
mm.
So you have to hire right, you have to train right. It's not a one time, check the box again. It's not that. And and so there's so much opportunity to be able to look at a journey from the inside and then make sure that it's delivering on a real promise and not guess. There's a methodical way to do that.
I think you're probably one of the first guests that I've had in this last year that really focused on that employee experience
Wow.
part. A lot of people, what I find a lot of times is it is very trendy to talk about CX or EX within the CX framework. It is harder to find case studies of it. And everyone always cites this like one PwC study. And I'm like, yeah, guys, we can't all cite the one study that talked about it that one time.
Yeah, but it's lived experience. Like
Mhm.
I mean, yes, data is wonderful and research is wonderful, but when you've been one in the companies and in all different industries, I mean, I've been in telecom, I've been highly regulated industries, Verizon and AT&T. I've been at Schindler Elevator Corporation, a global company. I've worked in a BPO, an outsourced contact center, and in every scenario, and consumer brands, every single scenario, if the internal teams are not aligned, they don't have the same shared values, they're not measured exactly the same for the
Mhm.
customer metrics, then then there's more silos and the customer feels it.
Oh, yeah. I really, as I sit a lot of times doing like my normal everyday life, right? Buying plane tickets is always my the bane of my existence. You can always see when they're siloed based on like the chat functions almost. Because as someone who also works in marketing, I go, well, I know that I get marketing emails from you that said X. And now you're saying something different on the chat that's different than the in-person experience.
So that is my first framework in doing CX right, RIGHT. And that R is about the repeatability. It's the consistency
Mm-hmm.
that is so prevalent, the example you just said, and it's really true in every company. And so really designing a journey with consistency and repeatability where if marketing sends out an offer and customer service gets a call, they both know the same offer and the same language.
I mean, what? Like in my head, as somebody who doesn't sit in that space, who doesn't have to operate, B2B survey software is a little easier to keep consistent, I would say. The stakes are probably a little lower, but it does. How would you, if you're a CX leader, how do you, one, prioritize getting all those different departments on the same page and then disseminate that information? What are your kind of tips and tricks there?
Yes. Before I say that, I do want to clarify something that you just said, that you're a survey company. It doesn't matter. Your customers, your clients buying your solution, they have experiences with your sales team
Mhm.
and the support team when they get stuck with technical problems, right? There are billing, right? So even for a company like yours, if there's
Mhm.
not consistency and full
Oh, yeah.
transparency around that, the same applies. There'll be a loss.
Mm.
So to your question, I am a big fan of bringing every single department together and map out internally. It could be back of the napkin. Obviously, there's sophisticated tools for this, but how does your customer today learn, buy, get, use, pay, get help, customer
Mhm.
service? And each division or department or team obviously owns one of those doorways at a very high level.
Mhm.
So by going deep into, okay, how do we communicate with our customer? And map out all the different ways within those different moments of truth. And what happens is each team not only realizes that, oh, wait, I'm dependent on you. Like, oh, there's really this domino effect.
Mhm.
Oh, what I do, I can't just sit here in my own silo, that there's a real impact. And also, oh, that's why that team keeps coming to me with certain questions or requirements, not just because they want to be annoying, but they're part of the journey. And
Talk
so
about you just hit the sales and marketing like division on its head. Marketing's always coming after me. Sales always coming after me.
yes. So, but every department's affected by this. So, by
Mhm.
bringing everyone together and you literally design or look at what the existing customer has to go through. And are you creating positive emotional connections at every interaction?
Ooh.
Let me say that again. Are you creating positive, not negative, positive emotional connections at every interaction? You can measure them because the emotion, it leaves the lasting imprint
Mhm.
in their mind. When we are looking at a company's products or when we're going through a certain micro moment, we are interacting with the brand, the customer service department as an example. And what we're doing is, or everybody's doing as humans, you're thinking and feeling, you're thinking and feeling and
Yeah.
thinking and feeling. And it's the emotion that leaves that lasting imprint that makes us evaluate whether we're going to come back or not, bad mouth on social media or the reverse.
I really, every once in a while, I was like, man, I should just get my therapist to come on to an episode of this and do like CX therapy, because a lot of times it's like, you're like, oh, we just need to coach a lot of these executives through like therapy language to care about their customers.
But it's not that, see, I'm gonna give benefit of the doubt here. It's not that they don't care. It's that they are under such pressure
Mm,
for money. Money, 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 bring in the money. But what they're because of that pressure, what I'm saying is that it's both and, it's not either or.
yeah.
It's care about the money and realize that you can also care about the people and really dig deep into the emotion that you are creating. And when you do with your existing customers, they will become your best marketing channel.
Mm-hmm. We have found that a lot this year. We did a kind of a pretty aggressive campaign against a competitor using real quotes from customers that have sent us unprompted. And to have, like, I sent out a kind of a request through Slack to our team and said, send me anything your customers ever sent you that was kind of like a praise. And reading them all kind of and getting them all like on our wiki, like our internal wiki, not only was it inspiring, it also gave us that, oh man, we really do have customers when we get them, they become our best advocates. And they really are, it was a good learning experience. I have a few less on that on like consumer brand side, right? Like I don't like, even as an Alaska girly, I'm always like, I don't know, guys, pick your airline of choice. Like, but internally it's been really, really inspiring. Are there any stories that you have from your experiences of someone going through this journey, sitting down, having this topic, like discussion with their peers, and then having that aha moment that kind of inspired you?
It's not just once, it's every time that I will bring the teams together, and it needs to be someone on the outside because, like, for me, I'm able to be objective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? People that are so close to the work, it's harder. And the mere act of bringing everybody together, I mean, HR, IT, marketing, sales, legal, right? Bringing them all together brings such magic to the room.
Yeah.
And them looking closely at walking in the customer's shoes. I know that's cliche, but I mean that, like literally walking through their shoes, but then also going out and being a customer for the day. Go out and be a
Yeah.
customer service rep, listen in on the calls for the day, multiple days, not just once. Go out and be a technician in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. I learned more by the ride along than I did sitting in my corporate office for a year just on that one day, and then I continue to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, it's not a one and done thing. It's a constant really understanding from the other person's shoes, their being in buying from you and getting service and bring everyone together, helping them understand where their zones of genius are in this journey.
Zones of genius.
Yeah.
I love
Where
that.
everybody is has their specialty.
Mm-hmm.
Because together, collectively, they're unbeatable. But what happens is they don't take the time to understand everything I just said. And then the real clincher here, the real change transformation here, I mean, is going out and validating with real customers that what
Mm-hmm.
you design is actually really meeting their needs, and then going and fixing those gaps, reiterate over
Yeah.
and over
It's
again.
not like, I think so often sometimes it's like, well, we did it once.
Yeah. No.
So I have two kind of insights that you mentioned there. One, also never heard anyone mention legal in part of the customer journey. So that was a new one for me. And so one question, what's this not the strangest. What was the most surprising department ever added to a customer journey?
There is none.
No. So they should
Be
just, okay.
because here's why. Because every single person has to be accountable for the
Mm,
customer experience. And I didn't say responsible. I said accountable because responsible is really like I'm responsible for my job, but
right.
accountable is really where you go up and beyond regardless of job title.
Hmm. And so, really, everyone from the C suite to, let's say, you're a janitor at a corporate store or like a in-person store, really, all the teams should be there, even logistics, or I was thinking, like shipping logistics, or um, what's the word for office management? I don't work in an office, facilities. I was like, we don't work in offices. I forgot the word.
So the answer is yes, because when they don't, that's when loss continues to happen. And you're talking about now, I mean, we could spend an hour just on culture change,
Right.
but this is essential because, as I said, there's no customer without the internal
Hmm.
employee, contractor, freelance, intern. They all make up and impact that emotional connection at every interaction.
Yeah.
So you have to bring them all together. And many people say to me, especially finance, they often will say to me, Stacy, I don't have a CX job. I don't really need to be in the room. And I said, well, yeah, you do. Because if the customer has struggled paying their bill, then your department is a huge part of the experience.
Hmm.
And so I literally will go department to department and help them understand individually as well as collectively how they have a CX role and must be accountable.
That's really, really interesting. And I like the use of the word accountable here. I think a lot of times that word gets a negative context, right? Like nobody like being you're going to be held accountable and people tend to take it very negative, but you're holding it more in like a positive note of like it's almost a privilege to be accountable for the customers that your company is taking care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my whole framework in doing CX right methodology is how you actually get everyone
Mhm.
to believe that, live it.
Mhm.
And it's not hard. It's not about throwing more technology at the problem.
Oh, girl. We did like 5 episodes on AI last year. I'm so over it.
But that's the truth. People are saying to me, "Stacy, we've got so much AI, we've got so much technology, and we're more efficient and we're good this. So why are we losing customers? We're doing CX." And I'm like, "Yeah,
We're doing it. And you're like, cool. Good job,
not
everybody.
not right.
Yeah. It's almost like I can see you just like nodding and being like, I know you think you're doing it, buddy. Uh,
Not lack of care."
yeah. And then my second question is you're talking about, going through and building out this customer journey and really understanding it through all the departments. How often would you say people should refresh that or re-audit that?
Well, how often are our customers' needs changing?
Oh, geez, lady.
I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke. I'm it's often.
Yeah.
Think of your own needs, how much we're changing as workers and family members
Mhm.
and buyers of services. I mean, we're changing. So how could you expect that even your journey that you designed last year would stay the same this year when we can't even keep up?
No,
So
I mean, you're not wrong. It makes me like interested in thinking, not often. I'm just like trying to think of a next episode. Like, not often do we get a peek behind a curtain on people's customer journeys. And I was like, I wonder if I could find a guest that would allow me to look through their internal processes because like it's hard as a newcomer into this space. Kind of, what I just asked you is something I'd probably end up Googling right? If you're new in your role or new into this experience, how do we get those frameworks and those like that kind of guidance? Um, and so, but it sounds like a mountain task when you kind of say it that way, right? Like, just keep doing it. And you're like, okay.
Okay, so that's a great point. Let me be more clear so that it can leave everybody with a better understanding, a little deeper. So, yes, there is a journey, as I
Mhm.
mentioned, how they learn and buy and get and use and pay, etc. So, take one of those doorways. Let's say buy.
Okay.
Now, bring all of the players who affect the buying into a room. Start there. So if you have e-commerce, your e-commerce team and web team. If it's Salesforce, they belong in the room.
Mhm.
Marketing for sure, because they're putting out the message and the sales team have to make sure, and the web team to make sure that the messaging is consistent
Yep.
and honest. And start there. Let's talk communication. What is the communication that flows from all those different places that a person will interact with your company? What is it? What is it electronically? What is it
Mhm.
in person? What is it by phone? What is it by a chatbot? What are all of those points that you're saying and talking to a customer? And is it the same or different? Identify what that is.
Mhm.
Also, measure when you have that interaction. Is the customer, is it a positive or negative interaction? Ask them.
Yeah.
And then add up how many positives, how many negatives. And you'll know right away because you need far more positives than negatives. Far more.
And that kind of gives you an indicator of when to refresh, when to take the next steps, etc.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see the gaps. You'll see that where the customers are frustrated,
Mhm.
where are those emotional highs? That's something I call that you really can measure this emotional high, those positives, and where are the negatives that you can actually go fix. That's a starting point of what you can go fix. And then how do you maintain the positives and do more of them? If you don't know all of that, you're flying blind, you're guessing,
Mhm.
and then you can't expect loyalty to happen.
No. I think a lot of times also, sometimes CX teams think that they have to do these really big things to create loyal. Oh, there it is. Hold on. um, they have to do these really big things to create loyalty, when in reality, they don't have to. They just have to do a lot of small things. Okay, I'm going to try and get my camera to zoom out. Zoom out. Um, Give me 1 second. I got a new camera. This is why we're live, guys. Zoom out further. There we go. Sorry.
Woman against machine.
Yes. Uh, do you think what is your most like something that was really small that really changed a customer experience journey that that people could add in, or a great example you've seen of a small thing that added big impact to a customer journey?
I would say pet companies do this extremely well, and you don't have to be a pet company to do this. So I called Farmer's Dog, which is a pet food
Yeah.
company, and my I have 2 dogs. One of my dogs passed away, and so I called to let them know that instead of sending me 2 packages of food for each dog, for each 2 dogs, send me 1, and I explained why. And so she was very empathetic.
Mhm.
She was clearly not reading from a script. I could tell by her tone and the words she chose, and that was lovely. What happened in 48 hours is the real story. She had sent me a plant and a beautiful card. Now, I know Chewy does this and other brands do
Mhm.
this, but it was the point that Sorry about your loss. We're glad to be on the journey with you. Thank you for telling us the story. Like real empathy, and the conversation I had on the phone was restated in the card. It was personalized.
Mm,
Anybody could do that if you take the moment to listen and not rush off the phone. and and that's being generous that people talk about as I am right now.
yeah. That's a great one. I think that the empathy and the genuineness can be it it can be taught and coached, and I think we really miss that in probably the call center coach like teaching, you know what I mean? There's a lot of like operational things, but learning, I always, I'm from the Midwest, so like I'm just like Midwest nice by trade. But it's something that you definitely need to instill in your teams. And if you don't, then people aren't going to feel, even if it is part of the programming, they're not going to feel it's genuine.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have a couple, not like hacks, but when I travel during the holidays, I always carry $5 Starbucks cards for the flight attendants. I saw it one time on LinkedIn. A CEO did it, and I said, when I make enough money to have disposable income, I'm going to do that. And I
Mm.
always do it, and I never expect anything. I'm not flying first class. I'm flying economy. Like I'm helping them. We're all trying to get where we're going during the holidays. But this year, I ended up with like a $75 in-flight credit from the steward, like from the flight attendants. And I was thinking back on that, and I went, my $25 I spent to give them was never intended to get $75 back, but my loyalty to Alaska, or at least to the flight attendants of Alaska, has been instilled even more.
Mm.
And I think that that's something that they just chose to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And so there is also, as I will always remind customers, treat customer experience people with respect, or those other, the person on the other end of the line.
One thing I need to reiterate, though, in your story, we have to own our own customer experience too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you did, right? It can't be just about expecting companies to deliver the experience and the emotions that we go through. We have to be part of the equation.
Yeah. And a lot of times I think customers feel they're owed something, and so they don't have to treat others with respect. I see that I travel a lot for work. I'm sure you do too. And so it is asking that flight attendant's name, or asking the front desk people their name. When you ask for people's name, they seem genuinely shocked.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's taking a moment to recognize someone as an individual and as a person. But I also just recently had a flight where the flight attendant was absolutely had a really bad day, obviously, and she did her job. She was responsible for safety, and she did her job. However, I did say to, a pilot that was sitting next to me, not for my flight, obviously, but I said to him, and I looked at him and I said, "She is focused on safety and doing her job, but she could do it with a smile." The way she spoke to us really was, um, anxiety provoking
Mm.
a
And so,
lot.
that can be hard. There are a lot of high stress, or high, I mean, doctors and nurses end up in those situations too, like a lot of high stress customer experiences. And then I feel like sometimes customers on low stress situations take it out on someone, because they're like, well, I got treated this way in a high stress situation, and now I'm chilling. I'm
Yeah.
going to, take it out. So it is, again, CX therapy for all. um maybe that'll be one of my next sessions. I'll find a CX. There's got to be one out there somewhere, right? But okay, so as we're closing it down, thank everybody for, who's been watching. Stacy, what's your biggest kind of recommendation for a CX professional starting 2026, right? It's January 21st. We've got 11 more months to bring the customer experience full circle. What are your tips and tricks for this year?
I would absolutely get rid of customer satisfaction.
Ooh. I like how you're dropping it at the end. You're like, no explanation.
CSAT, it doesn't work anymore. Because if I got off this show and I told someone today, yeah, I was satisfied. Crystal did it. She was fine. I'm satisfied. That is average. So why are companies measuring average? You want exceptional. And I feel very strongly that CSAT is not good enough anymore. When my kids ask me, I ask them, how was your day? If one of them says it was fine, I hate that. Fine is not good enough. And so I really believe that there are better metrics, and that's another session for another day. But CSAT, if you're measuring CSAT and it's a key metric for you to decide whether customers are going to come back and buy and tell others, that is not a good predictor enough. It's average.
Girl, I'm excited to reference this in all future shows. Stacy Sherman says, CSAT is dead. Discuss.
Look, it's not dead. It's that it's not good enough anymore.
Yeah.
It's not good enough anymore. And even NPS, I know that's a hot topic.
Oh, always.
NPS, if you aren't measuring anything at all, start there. That's okay.
Yeah.
But don't end there.
And I think a lot of people, right, they end at the NPS, they end at the CSAT, and people are okay being average.
You're not going to last.
Girl, you don't have to tell me. I'm a hoot. I've never been average.
But if people listening are saying, ooh, okay, well, what do we measure? That's where I would say, let's talk, because this is so important.
I love that. And you can find Stacy on LinkedIn. We'll drop her LinkedIn in the comments. She's also an author. She's her own podcast host. And, we're really, really grateful for the time that you came and committed to us. I'm sure we've got some, Paulina was listening in the background and she's like, oh, I'm clipping that. So you gave us some good clips that we know we can, drop on TikTok and Instagram and LinkedIn. And so we'll be sharing those. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about how to do CX right. And if you want to know more, reach out to Stacy.
Yeah, thank you. There's so much to say. And for those who haven't been in a room, I'm a keynote speaker. I've been in many, many different stages. So if you haven't been in my room, there's so much content on my website that is free for you. And my newsletter is really where you'll get a lot of updated trends and tactics.
Amazing. Thanks so much for joining us, Stacy, and have an awesome 2026.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.